Listener, welcome back. Military Money Manual podcast. Spencer Reese here from militarymoneymanual.com with my co-host, Jamie. Hey, Jamie.
Hey, Spencer. Today is part 3 of our 10-part series of if you have time to listen to nothing else, then do these things. We talked about part 1 was start with 5% of contribution to your Roth TSP. Step 2 was create your TSP account on tsp.gov and pick the appropriate life cycle fund or the L fund. And today we're talking about step 3, and we're going to talk about emergency funds.
So, Jamie, I think to start, we're just going to take the Dave Ramsey $1,000. Now, lots of debate about this since Dave Ramsey created the $1,000. Oh my gosh, inflation, this and that. But let me tell you, if you don't have $1,000 saved, $1,000 is going to make a big difference to your life. So if you don't have an emergency fund, if you don't have a rainy day fund, if you don't have money that you set aside so you can stop living paycheck to paycheck and you can stop accumulating debt, start with $1,000. That's it, $1,000. How fast can you do it? I mean, it's up to you, right? You do $100 a week, you'll be there in 10 weeks. That's less than 3 months. Can't do math in my head, 4 months. So start with $1,000 emergency fund. Where does it go? A high yield savings account is great. You can just Google, best high yield savings account. You're going to find plenty of options out there, but it needs to be in a separate account. It's not in your checking account. It could be at USAA. It can be at Navy Federal. It could be at a high yield savings account institution. $1,000. That's where you start. Set that money aside. That's the start of your emergency fund. This is step number 3, Jamie.
Yeah, we're not going to sacrifice you on the altar of money podcast nerds if you really, really choose to have $2,467 like some other podcasts recommend. The key here, like you said, Spencer, is that when you have a little bit of margin and buffer or white space, emergencies stop happening. And a flat tire isn't a crisis. It's just an inconvenience at this point when you have $1,000 saved up. It will cover a lot. It's not going to cover everything, and your situation may vary. We will come back to beefing up the emergency fund later in the process. But for now, just having some buffer is so important for you. And those inconveniences are easier to handle than major emergencies. Car repairs, house repairs, hot water heater leaking. Just recently, I saw someone's water softener. One of my friends, their water softener was leaking. So when you listen to this, because I know you listen to this, I'm sorry. I hope that gets fixed quickly and your cabinets are not destroyed and your carpets aren't. But there's so many things that just aren't as bad when you have a little bit of money saved up. And we know the statistics show that most Americans can't cover a $1,000 emergency. And we don't want you putting that on a credit card that you can't pay off. We don't want you taking out 28% credit card debt or a payday loan to cover emergency. This will add so much mental clarity and health back to your financial situation. Just get a little bit of buffer in there. So Spencer, earlier you mentioned the high yield savings. I just want to give a brief introduction to that if someone is unsure about that. Like you said, you can just Google that, but it is a little bit confusing. It's just a savings account that's a better rate than what Navy Federal or USAA is going to give. But for now, if you keep it in USAA, it's okay. It's a temporary thing until we learn more. But those FDIC or FCUA insured banks are going to guarantee to cover your deposits that are in that account. And that's going to be a safe place to store it. So you don't want a shady bank, but any of those, just make sure they're FDIC insured or a credit union that's covered, and you can drop it in there. Some of them, like Ally, have buckets. So you can save a little bit for emergency fund and a little bit for Christmas, and it's all in one account. But you need a separate account for that, and it needs to be set aside. We talk about this more in episode 51 if you want to go back and listen to that when you have more time. Part number 3, save $1,000 for an emergency fund, and your military finances will become less stressful. And come back next week for part 4.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Military Money Manual podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. This helps others find the show, and we really appreciate it. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
The views and opinions presented here are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent the views of the DoD or its components. Reference to any commercial products or services does not constitute DoD endorsement of those products or services.